As with most surgeries, even pimple popping extractions can go wrong. Today I'm going to cover 5 times Dr. Pimple Popper extractions went wrong. Welcome back to Spinning Film, let's get into the video. Number 5, Delano. Delano came back to Dr. Lee twice. He had certain mutilations on his back that needed removal, and Dr. Lee was kind enough to oblige. It looked like a pretty messy procedure, however, and the results were not as ideal. He came to her for a very large and unsettling lump removal on his back. The lump seemed incredibly intimidating and like it had a life of its own. It seemed to exist and breathe in its state. The good doctor was kind enough to treat him. The resulting surgery, which was broadcasted, was a very nasty surgery indeed, and it was an incredibly difficult ordeal to witness as the good doctor, Dr. Lee, went on to remove the lump. It was about the size of a basketball. However, everything did not go according to plan for poor old Delano, as he returned for the removal of the same lump, which had regrown on his back and was looking considerably worse than before. Delano's back had not fully healed yet either and was looking much worse than before. She was kind enough to have him linked up to some dermatologists who were willing to remove the lump again, properly this time, for free. If she had not done that, it was likely that Delano would sue the good doctor and the network. Number 4, Brandon. Dr. Lee had a love-hate, mostly hate relationship with Sis over her esteemed career as a dermatologist. Her displeasure was never more apparent than in this particular extraction. It was by far the worst one for her and her team. Brandon, a young man, showed up at her office with several cysts on his head. Dr. Lee was probing around them to check the nature of the cysts and getting a proper diagnosis. However, things went very wrong, major stress on the word very, during the actual operation. As the extraction was going on, it seemed that Dr. Lee had miscalculated the severity of some of the cysts, making each of them to be of the same category and nature. She found this miscalculation too late though, much later than everyone would have wanted. As she pressed for the removal of the cysts, they exploded, showering her with goop, alongside the camera crew and her assistants as well. It was a very messy scene, especially because of the likeness of the goop being infected. Number 3, Mary. This was a particularly nasty case. Mary showed up to the good doctor with one leg larger than the other. She was diagnosed with several diseases and was told that it would take a long and painstaking time to have her fixed up. Much to Mary's dismay, it would take some time to recover from the operations. The only good news at the time was that the condition was not life-threatening. Number 2, popped cyst. This one was a particularly gross routine due to the excessive nature of filth that had to be dealt with during the operation. This particular person came to Dr. Lee already having aggravated his injury by attempting to treat it himself. He tried to pop a cyst forming on the back of his neck, and of course it went wrong. So wrong that it created a growth in the back of his neck, and a very horrible growth it looked. During the time where Dr. Lee was trying to examine it, it oozed a very disgusting shade of yellow ooze. It was particularly disgusting as it kept on oozing and did not stop coming out. Seconds turned into minutes, and minutes were on the verge of becoming hours, and the slime would not stop coming out. Containers were about to overflow when it finally stopped coming out. It was an exhausting procedure, and the look on everyone's faces showed how done they were of this particular cyst. It seemed to be the king of all cysts, as no cyst has taken so long to remove, and no cyst has ever been so nasty to remove that the good doctor was found complaining about it and seemed pissed off. Remember folks, never remove cysts on your own, always go to a professional first. Number 1, tick growth. This was a relatively easy case, an open and shut case of removing a cyst from a patient's neck. Easy does it, no need to overthink anything. How things turned out, however, is a very different story. What seemed like an everyday situation turned out to be an instance of life and death. As the good doctor was operating on the patient, she noticed that the cyst was growing redder and redder. This was not uncommon, but the fact that the patient had shown up with a cyst that was already red from the beginning, and as the cyst was open, the redness was found to be coming from the inside. With the wound being very red on the inside, the wound also seemed to be moving. Dr. Lee was still quite unsure of what was going on until she grabbed a different tool and began examining the wound herself. Sure enough, the run-of-the-mill nasty ooze was still coming out, but there was something else inside as well that the doctor could not get a hold of. As the ooze dried up, the doctor got a hold of the nightmare that was escaping her grasp and was wreaking the life of a patient. When it came out, everyone's jaws dropped to the floor. It was a living, breathing tick. The tick had somehow found itself inside of the body of the patient. It was quickly disposed of, much to the grimace of everyone present and to the relief of the patient. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.